The panic attack hit Madison like a freight train at 3:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, right in the middle of Goldman Sachs' marble lobby. One moment she was striding toward the elevators in her $2,000 Louboutins, phone pressed to her ear as she barked orders about quarterly projections, and the next she was gasping for air like a fish pulled from water. The world tilted sideways, her vision tunneled, and suddenly the daughter of Wall Street's most feared investment banker was on her knees, designer suit wrinkled, mascara streaming down her cheeks like black rain. Madison Chen had inherited more than just her mother's razor-sharp cheekbones and her father's analytical mind. At 26, she possessed the same ruthless efficiency that had earned her mother the nickname, Ice Queen, and built their family's 8-figure fortune. She worked 16-hour days, closed million-dollar deals before breakfast, and hadn't taken a vacation in 3 years. Emotions were weaknesses to be conquered, tears were for other people, and asking for help was admitting defeat. But panic attacks, as Madison was learning in the most humiliating way possible, didn't care about your net worth or your reputation. Security guards hovered uncertainly as Madison hyperventilated on the cold marble floor, their radios crackling with confused chatter. Other bankers gave her a wide berth, some filming discreetly with their phones, tomorrow's gossip already taking shape. She tried to stand, tried to breathe, tried to summon the iron control that had never failed her before. Nothing worked. The walls of the lobby seemed to close in, and she was drowning in air. "Hey there, you're okay." The voice cut through her spiral like a warm blade. Someone knelt beside her, and she caught a whiff of motor oil and honest sweat, so different from the cologne and anxiety cocktail that usually filled her world. "I'm Luis. Can you look at me for a second?" Through her tears, Madison saw a man in his 40s with calloused hands and kind eyes, wearing a Navy mechanic's uniform with Torres Auto Repair embroidered on the chest. He must have been making a delivery or visiting someone, because he definitely didn't belong in this temple of capitalism. Under normal circumstances, she wouldn't have given him a second glance. These weren't normal circumstances. "I need you to breathe with me," Luis said, his voice steady and warm. "In for 4 counts. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. He demonstrated, his chest rising slowly. "Now out for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Madison tried to follow, her breath stuttering and uneven. Luis didn't seem bothered by her failure or embarrassed by the scene they were making. He just kept breathing, kept counting, kept looking at her like she was worth saving. "Where'd you learn this?" she managed between gasps. "My daughter Sophia," he said simply. "She gets these sometimes. Started when her mom died 2 years ago." His voice caught slightly, but he kept the rhythm steady. "Panic attacks don't care if you're 8 or 80, rich or poor. They just care that you're human." It took 20 minutes for Madison's breathing to normalize, 20 minutes of this stranger sitting with her on Goldman Sachs' floor while her colleagues pretended not to stare. When she finally stood on shaking legs, Luis helped steady her without being asked. "Thank you," she whispered, the words foreign in her mouth. When was the last time she'd thanked someone who couldn't do anything for her career? Luis handed her a business card. Not the thick, embossed kind she was used to, but plain white cardstock with simple black text. "If you need someone to talk to who understands," he said. No judgment. Madison clutched the card like a lifeline and stumbled to her car. Skipping the rest of her meetings for the first time in her professional life. She drove aimlessly through Queens, ending up in a neighborhood she'd never seen despite living in New York for 8 years. Small houses with tiny yards, children playing on sidewalks, corner bodegas with hand-painted signs, a world that existed parallel to hers but might as well have been on another planet. The next panic attack came 3 days later during a board meeting. Then another the following week in her corner office. Each time, she found herself reaching for Luis's card, running her thumb over the raised letters. She'd built her life on control, on never showing weakness, on being more machine than human. But machines, she was learning, didn't have panic attacks. On a Thursday evening, as rain drummed against her penthouse windows, Madison finally called. "Torres Auto Repair," came Luis's familiar voice. "It's Madison. From Goldman Sachs. You helped me, I remember. How are you doing?" The simple question nearly broke her. When was the last time someone had asked how she was doing and actually wanted to hear the answer? "Not good," She admitted. It's getting worse. Can you come by the shop tomorrow? I close at 6, but I'll wait. Torres Auto Repair occupied a corner lot in Astoria, wedged between a laundromat and a Dominican restaurant. Madison felt ridiculously out of place in her Tesla, but Luis greeted her like she belonged. The shop smelled of motor oil and coffee, tools hung in perfect order on pegboard walls, and a little girl with pigtails sat at a desk in the corner, coloring intently. Sophia, say hi to Miss Madison, Luis called out. Sophia looked up with her father's kind eyes and waved shyly. Poppy, are you teaching her the breathing thing? Maybe. What do you think? Sophia considered this seriously. She looks sad like I used to. The breathing helps, but you have to practice every day. And you have to want to get better. Over the next month, Madison found herself returning to the shop regularly. Luis taught her breathing techniques, but more importantly, he taught her that vulnerability wasn't weakness, it was courage. Sophia, with the wisdom of a child who'd survived loss, showed her that healing wasn't linear, that some days would be harder than others, and that was okay. Madison began volunteering at Sophia's school, reading to kids who reminded her of herself at that age. Driven, ambitious, but missing something essential. She started taking lunch breaks, actually eating lunch instead of protein bars at her desk. She called her parents not to discuss business, but to ask how they were sleeping, if they were happy. The panic attacks didn't disappear overnight. But when they came, Madison knew what to do. She'd find a quiet space, remember Luis's steady voice, and breathe. 4 in, 6 out. Sometimes she'd think of Sophia's determined little face, or the way Luis never made her feel broken for breaking down. 6 months after that first attack, Madison sat in her office as the sun set over Manhattan. Her phone buzzed with the usual demands and crises, but for the first time in years, she let them wait. Instead, she pulled out her phone and texted Luis. Sophia's school play is next week, right? Wouldn't miss it. His reply came quickly. She'll be so happy. Thank you for seeing her. For seeing all of us. Madison smiled, remembering the woman who used to sit in this chair, the one who measured success only in dollars and dominance. That woman had been powerful, feared, successful by every metric that mattered in her world. She'd also been suffocating without even knowing it. The woman who sat here now was different. She still closed deals and made money and commanded respect. But she also knew how to breathe, how to ask for help, how to see the humanity in a mechanic's kindness and a child's wisdom. She'd learned that true strength wasn't about never falling down, it was about letting people help you stand back up. Outside her window, the city pulsed with 8 million stories, 8 million people just trying to make it through another day. Madison took a deep breath, 4 in, 6 out, and finally understood that she was part of something bigger than any deal she'd ever closed. She was part of the human race, and that was enough.